Welcome to Your Yes Build Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle, educator, healer, speaker, guide, and fierce advocate for your yes. I help sensitive and successful men and women find, reclaim, and live from their full embodied yes. Through empowering you to understand your energetic hygiene, establish healthy boundaries, and heal your nervous system, you'll be able to create your yes-filled life and move through your days with more freedom, more ease, and more joy. You'll hear inspiring stories of people who found their full-bodied yes, thought leaders who pursued their own dreams and are living life on their terms, and learn new ways to find the courage, joy, ease, and freedom to more fully step into your yes-filled life. Say no to the good so you can say yes to the great. Join me on this journey to discover your yes-filled life. Whether you're looking to break free from the golden handcuffs, start a new business, find your dream job, or simply live with more intention and mindfulness, I've got you covered. Let's explore the possibilities together and make your dreams a reality. Ready? Let's do this. Let's get you to your yes-filled life. Hello, and welcome back to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle. I'm fresh home after attending and presenting and speaking at the Northwest American Choral Directors Association's regional conference held in Spokane, Washington. It was an incredible event. It was such a thrill and privilege to be able to bring breathwork to choral music educators, teaching them how they can use breathwork in their classrooms and in their lives to not only reduce stress and anxiety, but to help amplify their own performances. It was absolutely so rewarding, and I loved getting to connect with my friends, my colleagues, and meet so many new, incredible people. It was just absolutely a thrill. I was able to also present a session. I also spoke at a session rooted in diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and belonging with my very close friend, Cody Raven Morris, who has been on this podcast back when it was branded Waves of Joy. So if you want to learn more about Cody, you can go do that. But that was just such a rewarding experience. And it was so much fun connecting with people, going for meals together. And let me tell you, Spokane, Washington has some great food. I mean, every place I went, it was great food. Good time, good time. And it was super fun because 3 of my legs of the flights had first class upgrades. So I was enjoying that. Thank you for that, universe. More, please, more, please. And it really was inspirational to me in so many ways. I cannot wait to follow up with these choral music educators about bringing breath work into their schools, into their programs, into their retreats, and all good things. So, we're going to talk today about the 2 kinds of leadership that I have been seeing, and I got to see it really up close at this conference. And we're going to talk about the difference between a hen, as in a chicken, but a hen, because I don't want to have it be associated with fearfulness. That's not it at all. And an eagle. So the question really is, what kind of leader do you want to be? Do you want to be a hen or do you want to be an eagle? And there is no such thing as a good hen or a bad hen or a good leader that's an eagle or a bad eagle. The point is not that there's goodness or badness in either one. They're just very different, and they ultimately have different tipping points of expansion possible. And here's what I mean by that. If you are a hen, you are someone who travels in a group, largely the same group. So you're talking about the same things with the same people a lot of the time. And that's not a bad thing, but it is limiting. So if you're a hen, you might be able to step into leadership within your organization, but it might be harder for you to step into leadership outside of your organization because of different things that will become more clear when I talk about eagles. So if you're a hen, you are with the same group, you are probably moving very, very quickly. You're probably doing a lot of talking, maybe a lot of complaining, and maybe even talking about other people. If you're a leader, that is an eagle, then you are capable of flying alone, not alone per se, because you are connecting with other eagles, but you're not moving in a group of eagles. You are, coming together at certain times and then going off to fly by yourself. You're in many, many rooms. You're hearing perspectives of many, many people. The places in which you're having conversations are different, which means that your conversations, while they may have common threads because of what's important to you, they'll be different because you're bringing in different perspectives, because you're listening to other people, because you're not traveling in a group of the same people. Now, I want to reiterate again, one is not good or bad, but it depends on what kind of leadership you want to step into and where you want that leadership to go, of which leader you want to be. Now, here's the thing. You might be an eagle in some settings, and then you might be a hen in other settings. Just like the rest of life, it's not black and white. It's not all or nothing. You could be a leader that is an eagle in some settings, perhaps your state organizations or different friend groups, and then you might be an eagle that's a hen in other settings based on your comfort with those people or even your lack of comfort in a certain situation. And so I really want to make sure that we don't make one good or one bad. They're just different. So when you learn how to be an eagle and how to be a hen, you will also learn how to lead and how to follow. Both are important skills. We need to know how to follow, and that makes us better leaders. That doesn't mean we have to become hens to be followers, who we can still stay an eagle and be followers. The thing that I really see that differentiates eagles from hens is it's very difficult for hens to move outside of their flock. And so what I mean by that is if you are a hen and you're having the same conversations with the same people in the same group all of the time, it's very difficult to get your voice heard in other conversations because you're not interacting with other groups. And you're probably not interacting with very many eagles. So, the other thing that is a really big benefit of just thinking about what kind of leader you want to be is thinking about how you want to innovate. If you want to be an innovative, creative, problem solving person, you want to probably avoid being a hen because hens are part of group think. And what I mean by group think is there's not a lot of room in a flock of hens for you to have an opinion that's different. Even if they mean there to be, even if they're welcoming and warm and open and loving, hens are sticking together in the flock because of their shared thinking. So as you develop into the kind of eagle leader that has the potential to rise above the flock of hens, you will notice that groupthink is not synonymous with being an eagle. Eagles are part of groups. They are part of teams, integral part of teams. They are team players. They love being a part of the team, but they're not going to be defined by the group think in a team. So, as you sort of think about this, the last thing I want to talk about before we really start to talk about differences between eagles and hens is this. Eagles allow themselves to go where the energy is rich, what feels good, what feels aligned, and hens often purposefully do not go where the energy is rich, instead, choosing to complain about the lack of energy richness. So it's really easy to become a hen. I'm not going to teach you how to become a hen because you can figure that out on your own. What I'm going to talk to you about today is how you can become an eagle, how you can become an even higher flying eagle, how to find other eagles, and how to build relationships with them once you find them. So, let's talk about some of the symptoms that you might be a hen kind of leader and not totally notice it, or maybe you don't recognize it. So, number one would be if you find yourself saying things like, no one listens to me, or no one's asking me for my opinion. It could be because you're a hen. It could also be because of issues regarding diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and belonging. And I want to make sure that to specify that if it's because of DEIAB issues, this is a different conversation. And I'm not addressing that conversation in this episode, but I am creating content for a future episode where we really will be talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, access, and belonging, how you can foster it, how you can navigate through some issues. But just wanted to be really clear that it is possible that your voice isn't being invited into the table because of those types of issues. And I want to acknowledge that. The second symptom that you might be a hen and you may not recognize it is you're listening and talking to the same people with the same perspectives all the time without being intentional about seeking other perspectives. Number three, you're talking about the same things all the time. Have you noticed that I've said that a couple of times? It's really important that you do notice it because if you find yourself on repeat talking about the same thing at the same time and like it's just a broken record on repeat and this is an important and you're complaining, that is a symptom that you are being a hen. Number 4, you move in a large group. Where one of you goes, all of you go. Number 5, you talk more than you listen. You're intent on being right. You're intent on sharing your perspective. You're intent on justifying why you make the decisions that you're making. And you're very interested in protecting your reputation above all else. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Number 6, you are not taking time or space to resource yourself and then often complain about not being resourced. That might sound like, I'm tired, I'm sick, I don't feel well. That is a move of a hen, someone who's moving in the group think. And number 7 is you're moving very fast. You're making decisions very, very fast. And then sometimes you have to come back to those decisions to either redo the decisions or apologize for making decisions that may not have been in the highest and best for everyone. So I have been both a hen and an eagle. And like I was telling you before, I think that in some situations we can find ourselves going back and forth in between. And I want to make sure that I'm really saying this message loudly in that it's not bad to be a hen, it's not good to be an eagle, but they're very different. And there is a limit of how far and how high you can go if you are behaving as a hen. So I recognized I'd become a hen in an unexpected place. I was standing in the kitchen in my cousin's house in Little Italy in Chicago. Kurt and Ken, if you're listening, hello, hello. I have never talked to you about this. So I am going to be sharing now the impact of a conversation while we were making breakfast. I was complaining again about being in education when my cousin Ken gently asked if there's something I wanted to change in my life. He said, "What would you want to do if you weren't doing this?" And I told him, I wanted to impact the world. I wanted to lead leaders. I wanted to be expansive and to do the things. And when I told him this, there was a part of me that sort of felt like, "Oh, if I tell him this, he's going to rescue me a little bit and he's going to introduce me to the right people and then everything is going to work out and I'm going to live happily ever after and this is going to be awesome." I really did expect him to coddle me a little bit, but instead, what he did was he told me to start researching companies and figure out what I wanted to do. He said that it wasn't too late for me to do something different. I just needed to find out really what I wanted. And I didn't recognize that I wasn't clear on what I wanted. I thought I was, but turns out I wasn't. One of the interesting things he did not do, he did not offer to make introductions to other people. He did not offer to share names with me. In fact, I asked him for some and he declined. In that moment, I recognized, oh, it's because I'm being a hen, not an eagle. He's an eagle who flies with other eagles. and he's not going to introduce me until I start to work to become an eagle. And here's the thing, if you're a hen, the eagles in your lives are not going to introduce you to the other eagles because eagles don't have time or bandwidth to get hens up to speed who aren't willing to do their own work, who aren't willing to take total radical responsibility about their experiences, about how they're showing up in the world. And it's just too heavy of a lift for the eagles. They don't have the time and bandwidth of that. So when my cousin, whom I respect and love very, very much, was unwilling to give me recommendations or introductions, I realized I had work to do. I knew that it was going to be a long road because I was surrounded by other hens complaining about the same things every day, just like I was. There was one friend in particular at the school I was working with, and we would intentionally either meet in the day, meet before school or after school, or even text or be on phone calls together to complain about things at our school as soon as COVID started. We carried this practice out for the next year. We literally complained about all the things. And I didn't stop to think about the impact that that was having on me and my life and my reputation and how people perceive me until the very end of one school day, my last my last year in the Boise School District, my office phone rang in my classroom. And on the other end of the phone was a very angry, I mean, really angry, upper level district administrator. His voice was raised and he was accusing me of speaking out of turn and saying something egregious about another administrator. My blood literally went cold while my face went hot. I had never received a phone call like this in, 25 years of teaching. So I started to wonder, how did I get here? Like, what happened to get me to this point? So, my sister and I are 3.5 years apart. We grew up in a tiny little town in northwestern Nebraska called Shadron. I've told you that before. We're very, very close. And, we had our differences when we were kids, and sometimes we would argue and things, but we've always been very close. When she was 3, we were playing in the leaves in our backyard and we were having a great time. But as we played, she was very obviously having less and less and less fun. And I wasn't mad at her because I could tell that something was wrong, but I literally didn't know what. So she realized kind of the same time that I did, or maybe before, but she wasn't articulating it, that she couldn't breathe. Her eyes got really big and it was clear to me something was wrong. She couldn't breathe. She was gasping, and it sounded like she just couldn't get any air. It was really scary. So I called for my parents, and my dad has very severe asthma and recognized that my sister was having an asthma attack. She had never been diagnosed with asthma before that point, but he knew it. He knew the signs because he'd experienced it. So he went into instant action and our lives forever changed on that day. Now, through my child eyes, I would have been 6 or 7 at that time. My entire world changed. Now, it's important for me to say I was never mad at my sister, but I did have feelings about the other things that happened. Like, I had to give up my dog. I had to keep my room a lot cleaner. We shared a room, and I had to keep the room a lot cleaner to manage the dust. And we had been traveling outside of our tiny hometown to Denver, Colorado for my dad's asthma appointments a couple of times a year for a while, but now those couple times a year visits included my sister. And while I loved her and I was literally willing to do anything to keep her healthy and safe, I really felt that the attention in our family went to her. And rightfully so. I mean, it's understandable. They really needed to keep her well and get her well. And so again, I wasn't mad about it, but I was really not feeling seen or heard in my family at that point. And I noticed, and this is all unconscious, by the way, it wasn't like I was an evolved 7-year-old or something, but I noticed that I got a lot of attention when things were bad. So if I was talking about things that upset me, people would listen. And if I was talking about things that were fine, nobody listened. And I know now that it's because if things were fine, people knew I was good. So they didn't have to worry about me and they could redirect their attention back to my sister. But then I just knew that people weren't listening to me if I had good things to share. People did listen to me if I had bad things to share. And so was born a habit of sharing negative things when I wanted attention or if I felt like I wasn't being seen or heard. Can you relate to that? Have you ever noticed that you're seeking attention in a way that isn't really what you planned or wanted or even feel aligned with, but you just continue to do it? So I'd love to hear from you if that has ever been the case for you. But anyway, when the stress of COVID hit, I really fell back into this habit of negativity and complaining. And I was looking for and seeking out people who were negative and complaining because I felt so unseen. As a frontline worker in COVID, I felt unheard, unrecognized, unacknowledged, uncared for. And I was mad about it. I mean, I was mad how people could think I could be in a room that was 10 by 10 with 30 kids in masks and being safe. And they thought that I was safe even though they had actual social distancing in every other room in the school. I was just so angry that I reverted back. I reverted back to the negativity. And I made it my job to complain because it somehow soothed my nervous system. So the phone call with the upper level administrator was incredibly stressful. It was jarring. Like my hands were shaking. I felt hot, like my cheeks felt red and hot, almost burning. I could feel my heart beating and I just wanted to cry. This was somebody who I'd worked with, who I'd respected, who I built a relationship with. And he was mad at me because he thought I did something or said something egregious about somebody else. And the fact that he didn't even question whether or not I could have done it was very painful. Not just because, that he was the one that talked to me. It was painful because he didn't question whether or not I'd done it because of who I'd become, because of the complaining that I'd done. Now, everything worked out. He went back through the people that had accused me of things after he and I had talked and realized that it was a misperception on their part. They had twisted some things around and came up with something that wasn't quite there and everything worked out. But I recognized in that moment that I was fully responsible, totally responsible for being in this position because of the ways I'd been speaking and the ways I'd been showing up and the reputation that I had accidentally built for myself. So I knew that I needed to work on my inner eagle, to follow my own truth, to disengage with the negativity. And that meant that I was course correcting a tremendous amount of energy and momentum in the wrong direction. So I took full responsibility for my feelings. I stopped complaining, stopped cold turkey. I focused on what I was grateful for. And then one by one, magical thing after magical thing began to show up in my life, including jobs that aligned with my soul's mission. I had 5 job offers and was a finalist at 5 different jobs, um, a new house. And ultimately, the business that I now own came from all of this. Now I recognize that when I have a negative emotion or a negative thought, I acknowledge it, I feel it, I move the energy around it using somatic practices, breath work, and just maybe some journaling. And then I focus my conversation and my thoughts on what could I do to create a solution around this? And let me tell you, it has changed everything in my life. So I made 10 big discoveries from all this. And these are the 10 things I'd like to share with you now. The 10 things that you can do to become the eagle in your life. Okay, here we go. Here are the discoveries. Number one, no one will invite you to the table or to share your opinion before you engage in active listening and demonstrate an openness and willingness to learn more about what's happening at the table. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be an eagle or a hen. That part could be either one. But when you engage in that active listening, doors start to open for you. Ask questions to better understand things, and you're going to be amazed at what tables you get invited to as a hen or an eagle. Number two, complaining just to complain is a bad habit. You can make a different choice. And when you do, your energy will begin to trend in a new direction that is going to blow your mind. So we know that energy flows where attention goes. And if you're paying attention to the things that you want more of in your life, you will naturally begin to generate more of those things because that's where your attention is. So by focusing the things that you're talking about onto things you want more of, you will energize and activate things in that direction. Whereas complaining does the opposite. If you do have a genuine complaint to lodge, a hen complains to hear themselves talk. An eagle complains and brings an idea to the table for a solution. So you get to decide which one you want to be. Number three, it is not up to someone else to make you feel better. No one is coming to rescue you, and no one is going to do it for you, whether you are a hen or an eagle. When you begin to take full responsibility for your experience and you let go of any blame or finger pointing, things are going to shift for you. Opportunities are going to open up. People are going to want to hear more from you because they know you take radical responsibility for you. And you can begin to demonstrate this by taking total responsibility over what is showing up in your life. Number four, hens want you to stay with them, with the flock. Hens will pull you back repeatedly. And it is really tempting and easy to want to go back into the flock. No one will blame you if you do want to go back into the flock. But if you want to be an eagle, then you'll need to love your hens and go fly high. You can always fly back down to visit the hens. Not to say that visiting a hen is lowering yourself, but I'm just thinking of the visualization of the eagle being up in the sky and the hens on the ground. Again, one is not better or worse. They're just different. There's only a problem if you want to have eagle results, but you are demonstrating hen behavior. So it's worth considering which one you want to do. Number five, eagles fly alone, but are always connected to other eagles. So you may not see the connection, it may not be obvious, but I promise you that those eagles are connecting with other eagles. You will find those eagles when you spend time alone, creating total energetic sovereignty so that you know what you think about things. You know that you're fully resourced, and that way you create space for your own thoughts and ideas to emerge. You need spaciousness to fly as an eagle. This doesn't mean you're doing it alone. It means that you know when to connect with others while you maintain your sovereignty as an eagle. Number six, be intentional about putting yourself into rooms with new people, new experiences, and new perspectives. This does not mean that you have to leave the hens in your life. It does mean that you need to create situations where you are learning and hearing about new perspectives, new points of view, and from people who think differently than you do. That way, you're not creating a wind tunnel of influence where you're only hearing from the same people with the same perspective all the time. That's one of the biggest things that keeps hens in flocks of hens when they want to become eagles. So put yourself in the room, be willing to meet new people. Number seven, when something doesn't feel good, walk away. Do not stay there complaining. That is seriously a move of a hen to complain and complain and complain. Instead, turn your attention away from what doesn't feel good, resource yourself, and then go back in with a new attitude and new energy. but do not tolerate things that don't feel good. That is one of the big distinguishing factors of the true eagles in the world. They're not going to tolerate feeling badly. And you know what? I don't think anyone should tolerate feeling badly, whether you're a hen or an eagle. Number 9, eagles take care of themselves unapologetically. They take space, they take breaks, they rest when they need to, they create mental space for themselves, and hens do not do these things. Instead, hens often complain about being tired, being sick, maybe even being hungover, and not feeling good. But eagles, they make sure they feel good or they wait to show up until they feel good. Now, it's all for naught if you don't understand number 10. This is a big one. So, if you have been multitasking, this is an opportunity for you to come back to me right now. Your ability to be an eagle is impacted by the quality of the questions you are willing to ask yourself. Questions like, is this who I want to be? Is this what I want to be known for? Is this behavior, activity, or conversation supporting my mission in life? Does this feel good? And if the answer to those questions is yes, then by all means, continue doing it. And if the answer to those questions is no, then you know where you have some work to do. I know you are someone who values integrity, responsibility, and leadership. I know that because that's what drew you to being part of your Yes Filled Life podcast. That's who I tend to attract is people who think and lead in this way or aspire to think and lead in this way. So, knowing that you want to create your own yes filled life, then here's another truth for you. Hens, and I love the hens in my life, I really deeply love them. Hens do not have yes filled lives. They do have yes filled moments. They also have yes filled days, but not yes filled lives. To create a yes filled life, you will learn to unapologetically show up for yourself first so that you can live into your mission. Because here's the truth, if you're spending your energy, time, and bandwidth on the hens in your life and on the problems and the pecking on each other and on the complaining, you are leaving your soul's mission unfulfilled. It's only when we can supercharge our bandwidth and put our focus exactly where it needs to be that we can begin to ignite that movement towards the soul mission. So, I have an invitation for you. I have something really special. I talk about it a lot, but I'm going to talk about it again today. It's called Yes Academy. Yes Academy is a mastermind and healing program for world changers with a huge mission on their hearts. Now, what I mean by a world changer is someone who is perhaps an educator, a healer, a coach, a clinician, a therapist, physician, a nurse, an energy worker, a corporate trailblazer, or heart centered leader, perhaps a small business owner. This is somebody who knows that the work that they're doing is changing the world, or they have a mission on their heart to change the world. So, this is for people who want to offer deep transformation for others by first experiencing deep healing and transformation within yourself. This is for someone who wants to deeply connect to your true essence and the curriculum of your unique soul to unlock the power within you to use your voice, to share your gifts with the world. This is for you if you want to face and heal your deepest wounds that are holding you back from moving forward towards your soul's mission so that you can live with peace and ease. This is for you if you want to use and learn energy work to support your evolution with breath work, somatic healing, and energy healing. This potent transformational container is for you if you know you're meant for more. If you know the world needs your mission, your medicine, your contribution. If you believe that a rising tide lifts all boats and that in community we all rise together, this is for you. If you are done with the hustle and the grind, you want more ease and flow, and you're willing to learn a new way to live that puts feeling good at the center of everything, this is for you. If you were ever taught to play small, to stay silent, to not take up too much space. You've been taught that someone outside of you knows more than you, and you know none of that is true. And you're ready to make big quantum shifts. This is for you if you are self responsible. You're ready to get out of your stories and into the life you know you're meant to be living so that you can align with your soul's mission. You'll learn to say yes to the curriculum of your soul so that you can find your way back to your soul's mission. To learn more and to apply, go to brendawinkle.com/yes academy. That's YESACADEMY. Thank you so much for listening today. If you happen to listen, this is Monday that this is being released, Monday the 29th. If you happen to listen, there's a free masterclass on Tuesday, January 30th, 2024 at 9 a.m. Pacific called Unlock Intuition. And even if you don't happen to catch the live, you'll still have access to the replay. So go ahead and sign up for that. It's a beautiful free masterclass where we'll be talking about how to discern your intellect from your intuition. Go to brendawinkle.com/unlock intuition, all one word, all lowercase, to register and save your spot, or depending on what the case is, to catch the replay. Thank you so much for listening to Your Yes Filled Life. There are three things that you can do that would really help the podcast. One is if you could give the podcast a rating, that would be so helpful. The second thing is reviews. I love reading the reviews in the podcast. They're so helpful and they really are supportive in helping the podcast grow. And then the most helpful thing you could do would be to subscribe and share it with someone you love. So if you love this episode, would you please consider sharing it with someone you care a lot about? And also, I just want to hear from you. If you have questions about this episode, if you have comments about this episode, take a screenshot of where you're listening right now, tag me on your social media, and we will have conversation about it. And I love to put you in my stories. So if you screenshot me and put it in your stories, I will story you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. I know that my soul's mission is to reunite you with your soul's mission by helping you understand that you have so much permissioning here now to live the life you want to live. I want to help you peel back the layers on whatever that has been stopping you from really leaning into the things that light you up, the things that you know you're meant for. And so I'm so grateful for you listening and for sharing the podcast. And I hope that you have a beautiful week. Until next time, bye for now.